I think one thing to understand about Kraken in general is that it's a bit bigger than you think. It's a portfolio business. It's got
The Trader Cobb Crypto Show, talking business in blockchain.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Trader Cobb Crypto Show. It's been a while since I've had a guest on here. Why? Well, I've been busy trading and doing other things, but it is my absolute privilege and honor to be able to speak to the Managing Director of Kraken Australia, which has basically come to our shores in 2020. I've got Jonathon Miller with us right now. Thank you very much for your time, mate.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Mate, look, first things first, you want to just tell us a bit about yourself and, how you've come to become the Managing Director of Kraken, I guess.
Sure. The story is an interesting one. It was a pretty exciting year. We got acquired. We had a local brokerage here called BitTrade, and I was the MD of that. And we got approached by Kraken last year, 2019, to think about how we could work together. And it turned out that the best way to do that would be to kind of take us out and come out here directly. So yeah, we're really excited to be representing Kraken Australia, and yeah. My background is product and crypto. I got really into crypto in 2014. Prior to that, I was really interested in macroeconomics and kind of big money thinking, and I was writing software. So crypto was the Venn diagram of my interests. It was right in the middle, and it was both things. And so that got me very excited about what money might be like without, I guess, being issued by a government. What's a non-government issued money, but also what is a native internet money, and obviously the whole space has exploded since then. It's not just about money. It's everything. But yes, so Kraken is a really good fit. It was a really great cultural fit for us, and really excited to bring their suite of products out here.
Mate, it's quite cool to see. I mean, I met Austin in Dubai. We did a fireside chat, and he absolutely body slammed, not literally, figuratively, a woman in the crowd. In my defense, it was quite interesting. He's very passionate. The whole team seems to always be really credible. And I mean, one of the things that I really want to know, and I know the audience wants to know, is we seem to see, I guess, so many exchanges and projects coming and focusing on Australia. Now, we've got a population, so what, I think 25, 26 million here. So it's really, really small. Why are we so valuable as a country for clients in crypto?
I think Australia is a really interesting place to be. For want of a better expression, it punches above its weight. I mean, I think there's quite an established finance sector here, right? And so you see a whole bunch of different client types in a market like this, and a lot of those clients were already clients of Kraken. And one of the real reasons we came out here was to service them better, and to then grow and bring Kraken products here and bring them here because there's a really kind of willing, forward-thinking, interested market here of people who understand not only money but technology. Yeah, that to me is one of the main things. Also, I think Aussies are known for having a bit of a punt, and it'd be fair to say that the crypto world is relatively speculative, and it's a great arena for making predictions, and thinking hard about what the future might look like from an outsider's point of view. Australia's got an interesting perspective on the world. We're not in America. We do absorb a lot of their media. We're not in America. We're not in the UK, but we kind of got a vantage point on those, and we're in Asia. So there's a fair bit of money from Asia in here. So yeah, I think I can see why there's a lot of interest in Australia for all those reasons from the globals.
And look, speaking of punching above our weight, I mean, it's 20 years to the day where where Sydney hosted the Olympic Games, which is still the best games ever.
Easily.
I feel like the Australian crypto community is very much like we were in the 2000 Olympics. We were competitive, we were good, we were small, but geez, we were a force to be reckoned with. Unfortunately now, not so much. But yeah, it's a good analogy, that one. Then look, I mean, when it comes to coming into Australia, obviously there is a lot of competition for a business like Kraken to come into. We have some established brands, obviously one of which Kraken has, taken in or bought into, absorbed, whatever you want to call it in your past company. But, there's so much competition. What are you going to do to attract these people that are already in? We'll talk about the people that are already in crypto for now. How are you going to bring them across to Kraken? What's going to make them go from something that they know and somewhat trust as much as you can to a new platform?
It's a really good question. I think there's a huge amount of competition here, huge amount, and that's super healthy. I think one thing to understand about Kraken in general is that it's a bit bigger than you think. It's a portfolio business. It's got the Kraken exchange, and we've got some really exciting developments to bring to that exchange. Some of those things are available now in other markets, and some of those will be available to Australians, pretty soon. And on top of that, we're constantly innovating on that platform. So there's a culture of innovation. So over the course of the next 6 to 12 months, I think you're going to see a lot come through just the kraken.com. And through other mediums. In addition to that, we've got the Kraken futures market. We've got a futures exchange, Kraken Futures. It was also, an acquisition story. Crypto facilities over in the UK. It's a great product. Firstly, it's the only fully licensed derivatives product. It's a futures market with a full market license over in the UK. That's really exciting because it means that we can start doing things, above board in other markets, including Australia. And then on top of that, we've got Crypto Watch, which is a kind of Bloomberg style terminal with multi exchange data analytics, and you can trade through that as well. So we've got a terminal, and we've got CF benchmarks. So the benchmarks data is actually used by the CME group, by the Chicago Mercantile Exchange for their contracts. So Kraken's more than just one product, and bringing that layer, that stack here, I think is a big point of difference for us. We've also got, I think, an interesting perspective. And you said, culturally speaking, everyone's super passionate. There's a nice mix, I think, of hyper passionate people at Kraken, but also people who really understand the way and where this industry is going. And fundamentally, Jesse Powell, who founded the business back in 2013, he saw it going this way when he went over to Mt. Gox to help those guys when everything hit the fan. Yeah. And he realized that in order for crypto to become mainstream, it needs to professionalize. And part of that professionalization story is regulation. I know that's a kind of an area for a lot of debate. We can talk about that. But yeah, so Kraken's very, very strong in this. And I mentioned that we've got the license over in the UK for the futures platform. Yep. It's just been granted a license in Japan, a full markets license in Japan. This is the progression that we're going to see with Kraken. I don't think that's going anywhere. And these are the points that I think, in addition to their transparency and their security, that they bring to market as a real differentiator.
So when you say fully regulated or a regulated license, does that mean that you're going to be able, Kraken's going to be able to then offer futures contracts on equities, indices, or are you going to purely stay within the crypto sphere? Is it looking to develop outwards so that you can have basically everything under one roof? I know that other CFD and futures providers, stockbrokers and whatnot, most of them have a little snippet off there for a bit of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a few other contracts or spot. Well, not really spot. It's usually a CFD, but they're pretty average. The spreads are woeful, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, client, you want to talk about Bitcoin? Sure, there's a Bitcoin product. Not like, right, we are focused on the facilitation and rollout of proper trading, proper trading tools for traders to be working with, like myself. So, are you going to go into their space and start to cut their lunch, or what's the plan on that with the full regulation? Because you don't need it right now in crypto, but of course it's very good to have, as you said, about that credibility, and it's going to happen at some point, right? You're going to need it.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that things like this are going to happen, that there's going to be moves over time, and I don't think it's going to be moves away from regulation. Like if you're going to think about the probability here. Secondly, yeah, you're right. The world is becoming a bit multifaceted when it comes to the finance world and the crypto world. Kraken's mission is to be a bridge, right? To be a bridge between crypto and traditional markets. And to that end, yeah, we're looking at all sorts of ways we can we can make trading attractive and make trading exciting. So yeah, I think watch this space when it comes to the kinds of leverage, when it comes to the regulation that we've been looking at and the licenses that we've got. Watch this space, absolutely. But there's nothing I can talk about publicly in terms of which way we're going to go. But yeah, from my point of view, a personal view is that the crypto world, people often use this example when it comes to what crypto is going to do to X. What is crypto doing? It's the kind of internet age, for publications, but now for banks. We've got the disruption of banks, and what does that mean? I think it's more than just a disruption of banks. I think it's more than just money. I think it's markets. I think that we're going to look at a world in which, and we're already seeing that trading, be that crypto or equities or whatever it might be, in globally on global platforms rather than localized platforms. I think that's a trend that we can see happening already. You're seeing the ability to trade US equities on local products here. I think this is definitely a trend line, and we're all about bringing really great experiences to people, and you can't count us out of thinking really laterally.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like the idea of the bridge. We're sort of trying to do the same sort of thing. I've been trading for 15 years. I've worked with CME, ICE, Oanda, a lot of the big businesses out there before I came into crypto. And my objective, I think there's 72 or 73 million active traders in traditional markets out there, right? Something around that sort of figure. There's probably 0.01% of that in crypto right now. That's active traders. I'm not talking about investors. I'm talking about actual traders. What we want to do is we want to bridge that gap as well with what we do in our education, is that, we can bridge that gap. It doesn't matter whether I'm trading over there or where we are now. The reason I love crypto is because of the volatility. It's quite straightforward. It's just, I can take less trades, manage my risk the same, and make more money. Are you kidding me? It's the perfect business outcome for a trader. So, okay, cool. Are you seeing growth at the moment as far as accounts? Like, are we seeing, there's two variables. Are we seeing volume growth on the platform Australia and globally? And are we seeing new accounts being opened? Because that's a really good metric that I like to see.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about volatility. We put out a report monthly, the Bitcoin volatility report. The one for August just came through. There's some great data in there. I can speak to a bit of that now. August was a huge month, I think, for crypto. But for traders in particular, the volatility was up, growth was up. There was a huge amount of trading. We saw 50% growth in terms of volume month on month. So, huge, big amount of trading went on in August for lots of reasons. I think those reasons range. Some of them were because of the price movement and the volatility around the price movement up and down and around, reaching some, 12K marks. And that's always a nice little psychological thing. Mm-hmm. I think also what was happening was fundamentals were at play, and big news items. Obviously, there's the background noise of money being printed. There's the background noise of equities looking overvalued. There's the kind of general fear, I guess, in the market over the next 5 years. Well, what's happening to the US? What's happening, to the global economy? And on top of that, you got the layer of people thinking about whether they want to hedge into gold or they want to hedge into something new. So I think you've got a whole bunch of different things. In terms of growth, that story, that kind of uncertainty story and the correlation with gold and thinking about crypto, not just as a place for innovation, but also as a hedge against traditional markets, be that property, be that equities, be that dollars,
anything really,
right? So the Bitcoin's correlation to gold, I think, hit its all-time high for the last couple of years of 0.97. You've got people thinking about what the hell they're going to do in terms of their incomes over the next 5 years. They might want to start diversifying that by trading. I think crypto's provided a great arena for this, and we've seen it in the numbers. So we've seen growth. Yep. To give you a little example, in March this year, Kraken had to hire 200 people to handle new account onboarding. So we've hired 200 people globally to handle growth for the business globally. So I think there's a big trend line, and that might be a function of people working from home and not being wanting to play around and be bored, but rather looking and making use of that extra hour that they've got because they're not commuting on an alternative income. And so, we've definitely seen growth. We're seeing it in Australia as well. That's not just been something we've seen, overseas. And so, it's a really exciting time, I think, to be in the business of crypto and to be trading.
Mm. And do you think, I mean, do we have the perfect storm here, mate? I mean, look, what we've got is you've touched on a couple of those points. We've got, my personal opinion is stocks are massively overvalued. I'm really concerned about a lot of people's pension funds, superannuation funds, these sorts of things. There's no yield or bugger all yield. There just seems to be a lot of money jumping into equities based probably wholly off the stimulus to a certain point. Anyone who's not sophisticated and doesn't pull the plug at the right time is going to be absolutely damaged by what I believe is to come. We haven't learned really that much in many parts of the world. And the global barometer for the stability of the economy worldwide is the S&P 500. And it doesn't seem to be, it's just kind of, there are no physics when it comes to this market at the moment. It doesn't make any sense. We've got leadership coming up. I mean, 50 or 49 days until an election in the US. There's a lot going on. We've obviously got COVID to hit, which, as you quite rightly put, there's a lot more people with a lot more time to be able to do more. There will be people that sit around, they just complain, they hate it, and fair enough, it's horrible. It's especially, for a lot of people that are still in lockdown. It's a really hard time. Jobs are going, businesses going under. It's a really good time to start to consider your other options, because one of the things I see at the moment is you look at it, traditionally it was start a business, be your own boss, and your world is in your hands. Well, the world's learned that's not actually the case, because the government can go, yeah, sorry, everything you've worked for, you can't do anymore. Sorry about that. Here's $1,000 a week. Good luck. And I think people are waking up to the fact that unless you've got something that truly can't be taken away from you, like an online business or a way of making money just here, looking at this screen, they're going to have to, I think more people are aware they're going to have something of that nature, whether it be they're actively trading or whether it be, well, hey, I've got to diversify into a few other different things here and buy a bit of Bitcoin. It's there. So do we have the perfect storm right now for Bitcoin to just rocket off again, and we see a move, akin to September of 17, where we hit 3,000 and then race off to 20?
Yeah, I mean, it's super interesting. I think what you're saying, a lot of what you're saying, I fully agree with in terms of the collection of things that are happening. And, obviously, everyone thinks their time is a particularly complex time, a particularly dangerous time. I think right now, objectively, it is pretty gnarly out there. You've seen Australia's growth fall, the biggest ever since the Great Depression. You've seen the same in the US, the most amount of unemployment. There's huge numbers out there that aren't necessarily being reflected in the key indicators that everyone looks to.
It's weird.
And yeah, that is slightly concerning. So you have to think that there's something's got to give at some point. Some sort of reality check has to come into play. Now, I think in terms of what that means for Bitcoin, well, I mean, look, you've got gold hitting all-time highs. You've got hedges hitting all-time highs. I think that in the crypto world, there's been a slightly interesting aberration, however, which is that crypto's the makeup of the landscape has been changing a little bit in terms of the number of coins available. It's very easy to kind of launch stuff. Yeah. It's not like a listing on the NASDAQ or whatever it might be. It's a much more fluid process. And so
it's DeFi now, right?
That's right. You've seen this kind of wave of tokens that are classified as DeFi, as DeFi or decentralized finance. And they've got a lot of the limelight over the last couple of months. And so Bitcoin's dominance, for example, in terms of market cap has kind of come down relative to the size of crypto, but the pot's been growing. So, does this mean Bitcoin's primed here to charge? I think generally speaking, the long-term view for crypto, it's very hard to argue against some sort of growth. But what we are seeing, we're seeing volumes on those other coins. We're seeing volumes on alts, and that alt season kind of being in play. So I mean, I think Bitcoin, from a absolutely personal point of view, is the ultimate hedge. It's a scarce digital gold, and you'd have to think that it's going to, especially with the correlation it's shown to gold, that it's going to continue in that kind of ranging upwards. But the interesting thing about the market at the moment is that there's been all these other areas for people to look at and play, and that kind of utopian idea of decentralized finance. Some of these projects aren't even that new. You look at some of these projects that have been around since 2017, and they got absolutely dumped on, and all of a sudden now people have remembered that that the internet is probably the future. And surprise, surprise. And so I think that, in terms of the perfect storm, what people have realized is that digital versions of platforms of finance are definitely worth taking a look at. And that's how I read the DeFi thing. It's not just hype. It's people thinking about, well, what does it mean to be a bank in the future? What does it mean to lend money in the future, and all the iterations therein? And crypto itself, as a whole arena, is becoming more professionalized. That's for certain. The type of customer that we're getting in are people who have been trading the ASX. There are people who are wanting to do that diversification, that portfolio diversification. And I think Bitcoin's got a great story. And the story is not just a branding thing. It's a technical thing. It is fundamentally a more provably scarce version of gold that you can send to someone's phone. I mean, how good is that story? And so, I can't see it. I can't see it doing anything but continue to become more prominent in terms of people's minds and market share.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, banks, okay, so a lot of money is wrapped up in banks, right? We know that. They have typically provided pretty good dividends. Pension funds and whatnot have been actively inside of these places making their investments. If we do see a GFC style event and we see stocks plummet, which means dividends will cut, which they already are, and then we see property prices follow soon after that based on unemployment. And let's face it, a pretty overinflated property market, especially in Sydney and Melbourne. I think we'll see Melbourne absolutely fall apart. And I think Sydney is going to have a bit of pullback as well. Well, who's offering that debt? Well, that debt's offered by the banks. I think we'll see massive repossessions of residential and commercial properties, because commercial is being smashed as well. So what does that do to a bank? Well, it draws the price down. If they're over leveraged, well, it can send them under, like we saw in the GFC. So the safe havens, I mean, you look at Buffett, he sold a lot of his banking shares as well. Like, that's writing on the wall right now. You look at Apple, look at how much cash they have in the bank. And same with Berkshire. Berkshire Hathaway has got massive cash reserves, unless they've done anything recently that's not been publicized. Big time moves coming up.
Well, just speaking of Buffett, I think Hathaway's just bought a majority stake in the Barrick Gold Mining Company, and I think he's not yet willing to eat his hat and buy a Bitcoin mining company, but maybe the Barrick Gold Mining Company is going to diversify into crypto as well. You never know. I mean, you've seen some prominent moves by even S&P listed companies buying crypto. Like MicroStrategy, they're a Nasdaq listed firm. Yeah. They bought 250 mil in Bitcoin as an asset. Yeah. So these are listed companies making these calls. I think you're going to see lots more of that kind of behavior. It's not just someone selling their house and going all in anymore. It's a legitimate consideration for hedging your assets in a time of high volatility. You just described a perfect storm there, a perfect kind of property bubble storm. You're starting to see, I think, the evidence of the shaky ground. When it comes to stocks that are betting on the future, businesses like Afterpay who are betting on returns in the future, people are moving away from those considerations because they just don't see the next 5 years the kind of growth that people would have expected. So yeah, it's definitely hedge a clock, and you're seeing that in the price of gold. I think you're going to see it in the price of crypto as well, because it plays that same kind of role. Yeah.
And look, I mean, when we talk about demographics for targeting as a business, right, for Kraken to target, I mean, we know that there are a lot of more tech-savvy younger people, millennials, that are aware of crypto. We also saw this recent Robinhood boom this year, right? Younger generation on an app buying a lower market cap stock, like a penny stock or a small value, because to go and buy, $1,000 worth of, CBA, they go, no. They don't want 5, 10, 15% growth. They want to see some real money move. Now, the crowd that's in there doing that, surely they're going to come across into crypto, because that's where the volatility is. So that's one demographic, is millennials. The second, what do you see the second demographic, or who? There's sort of the baby boomers, because there might be less accounts, but they've got more money, right? So there's two variants that will come for the volume to funnel towards exchanges and into our space. What demographic, if any, are you guys sort of setting your targets on as being, I guess, the low-hanging fruit really at the moment?
Yeah, well, Kraken's got a platform that really suits people who are sophisticated. It's got obviously the futures offering as well. So you kind of got two arenas to play in.
Yep.
I think the next 12 months to 24 months is going to see, I think a lot more of the younger demographic come back to crypto. Interesting. One of the stats that I saw was that the ASX has received the most number of new accounts, and the age bracket is all millennials, all younger people flooding to the ASX where they're looking for bargains. And I think that's great. I mean, I think it's great to see young people looking to invest in all sorts of assets, right, including crypto. And I think that they are going to come back to crypto in droves because it makes sense. It's internet money. It's understandable. But that being said, the other trend line that we've seen is that in Australia, there's more and more self-managed super funds being spun up because people are losing faith in their super funds' ability to manage their money. They're thinking about doing that themselves and doing that in a way that suits them. So, and then they might have the time to do that now too. So yeah, we're seeing sophisticated investors, and we're seeing people with essentially structured entities to manage their wealth and to take advantage of the regimes that exist out there to support people's long-term investment strategies, such as self-managed super funds. So that's definitely something that we're seeing people come to Kraken with their SMSFs, and that's it's absolutely fantastic. It's welcome.
Are you at some stage looking into getting into that market, as in, being able to be a one-stop shop for an SMSF? Because obviously they've got to be set up, they've got to be structured. I know it takes some different licensing, and there are crypto companies or companies out there that will set up and offer, that sort of structure. But is that a market that Kraken, especially Kraken Australia with the self-managed super fund, might look to explore into in the future?
For us, it's about providing the marketplace.
Yeah, okay.
It's about providing the pathway onto it. And we're happy to educate. There's a lot of information on kraken.com in terms of education and learning crypto basics. And I think that, this arena, there's a lot of information out there in SMSFs and some great providers locally that can help you. But yeah, at this point, we're looking to provide a really fantastic way for people to bring their entities on board and then help them with reporting as well. Make sure they got the tools to download their reports and make and ensure that they're compliant.
Yeah, that's a pain in the backside sometimes, I'll tell you that much. So, okay, that's a really good understanding for what you're doing. But what is there anything exciting going on right now that you are allowed to tell? Obviously, the UK licensing, the Japanese licensing or regulation, sorry, they're two things. I'm sure there's a heap behind the scenes that we can't be told of. Is there anything you can sort of dangle a carrot, or can you tell us anything that's sort of new or exciting or will spark interest?
Yeah, I think that the really interesting thing when it comes to Kraken is the diversity of products available, and what we'd like to see is more of the products that you can trade offshore on the Kraken exchange come to Australia, and one of those is definitely margin. There's great opportunities to bring more sophisticated products into the Australian market, and you're going to start seeing some changes on the Kraken platform pretty quick as well. So yeah, really excited to bring some of those things here and to bring some of the news to you guys as it hits.
Mate, well, look, not welcome to Australia. You're already here. You already set yourself up in this wonderful city we call Sydney. You know what it's all about. You've got Kraken at your back, and you're working with those guys very closely. Look, I look forward to seeing your progress and seeing if we can be a part in spreading the good word of Kraken. I had nothing but good interactions with everybody that I've spoken to around Kraken in the past. There's some very good platforms out there right now, and as a collective for the entire space, whether it be spot, margin, futures, whatever it may be, it's really good to see some professionalized outfits coming in. The fact that you guys have competition, other companies that didn't exist 2 years ago. I now have opportunities to, when Bitcoin gets stronger and the dominance increases again, if we see that, I've got opportunity to short Bitcoin paired on margin. That's what I've wanted in 2017, 18 that didn't exist. I can link my orders. There is so much going on in this space. And as you said, competition is a good thing. So it's great to see more competition in the form of Kraken coming to Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathon Miller, the Managing Director of Kraken Australia. I suggest you go and have a look. Where do we find out more about Kraken yourself and what you guys are doing?
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It's great being here. Speak to you soon.
So where do we find more? Where do we find anything, like where you got social?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can come and visit kraken.com. That's the global landing page for Australians as well. And visit our Twitter as well for daily updates, Kraken FX. I'm on there as well if you want to find me. But yeah, we're here. We're in market. We've got a super secure offering, but also a professionalized offering with a portfolio of tools. So looking forward to bringing more and more of those to market here. And thanks again. Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. You have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world. Call your mates, make sure they're doing well. It is a tough time right now. Have a great day. I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Like, subscribe, and see you again. Bye for now.
The Trader Cobb Crypto Show, talking business in blockchain.